Well, here I am in northeastern Michigan with this 1960 Chevrolet El Camino. Of course, it doesn't run and it's been off the road for 15 years. I just flew into Ohio to pick up this 1971 Chevrolet Chevelle that I bought sight unseen. Well, the guy's in a field of cars in western South Dakota. I just bought that 1968 Buick LeSabre 400.
Vice Grip Garage isn't what it used to be. New videos feel unfamiliar to viewers. The content changes, the pace slows, and the sense of familiarity disappears. Derek Bieri, once considered the soul of the popular garage, is now being questioned by the community.
Hey guys, what's up? Good morning. Picked up another truck for the fleet, and I thought I'd give you a little...
3 weeks of unexplained disappearance. Commercial projects popping up one after another. And more forum chatter. Something is going on. And it's not simply a matter of busy schedules. When trust starts to waver, viewers don't just look at cars, they start looking at people. By mid-2024, debates were starting to crop up in online car enthusiast communities. Derek Bieri's name, associated with the phrase Vice Grip Garage, was no longer mentioned with the same reverence it once was. Posts on Reddit and auto tech forums were asking, why do recent videos look more like TV productions than the work of a real garage mechanic? It all started when Derek started appearing regularly on Roadworthy Rescues, a Motor Trend production. Viewers noticed that his YouTube videos seemed to lose some of their spontaneity. The camera work became more polished, the cuts were neat, and the technical glitches that had been his trademark were either absent or cut short. I no longer smelled grease, only commercials and staging, wrote one grassroots motorsports user. One of the most notable was Derek's sudden absence from the channel for 3 weeks, from late October to mid-November 2022. A sudden disappearance without a goodbye is always unusual. Followers began searching for clues. A screenshot of a Facebook post, deleted a few hours later, read, Sometimes you need to step back and see what's worth keeping.
Well, a guy recently watched Smoking the Bandit for the 93rd time and got inspired to build my own.
Negative 18. What a perfect day. Do a cold start on the old C10.
43 years. This car's been sitting here. He's never even driven it. I can't really see what's going on. First thing we got to do is just get it out of here.
Many believe Derek is under pressure from sponsors or television crews. Once a man who edited videos on his phone in his garage, he now appears with major brands in productions worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Hey everybody, welcome to Vice Grip. Today I'm going to be your host Derek is out of town for a few days. Am I going to town where a ton of issues that need to be addressed right away.
Not only the video editing style, the unusual absence of Jessica, his wife and close associate, also made the audience wonder. In nearly 10 consecutive videos from July to September 2023, no one saw her shadow. Previously, Jessica often appeared with Derek at major events, such as sick or family vlogs. This led to a series of speculations that their relationship was having problems. Nonetheless, Jessica's presence again at the Mecum 2024 event in Indianapolis, where both introduced 5 classic cars that they had revived, somewhat eased the doubts. Still, a loyal audience remains unconvinced. A string of comments under videos from late 2024 mentioned the controlled and unpersonal feel of Derek's storytelling, especially when compared to the 2018-2020 period, where things were raw, sometimes sloppy, but authentic to the core. In a video posted in February 2025, Derek cut the introduction in an unusual way. The video did not include the usual cold start. Instead, he got straight to the point with a short technical tutorial. No jokes, no narrative intro. To his loyal audience, that was unusual. This change isn't necessarily negative, but when core values are shifted so quickly, audiences are always the first to feel it. And it's from these reactions that a wave of suspicion begins to spread, placing Derek Bieri in a completely new position. A figure no longer immune from the very community that once idolized him. Before he became a household name to millions of classic car enthusiasts, Derek Bieri was a kid growing up in the cornfields of Minot, North Dakota. He didn't come from a family of content creators or professional mechanics. His father was a farmer. His grandfather was a farm machinery repairman. And the only garage Derek ever had was a dilapidated shed at the end of his yard. It was there that he took apart his first bicycle and learned his first lesson about not trusting old wiring. Derek was taught from a young age that if something broke, you had to fix it. There was no money to replace it. No technicians to come to his rescue. Just an old toolkit, some oil, and a resourceful mind. That mindset stuck with him throughout his later years. After high school, Derek didn't go to college. He went straight to work, first as a packaging worker, then in technical sales. There was a period when he entered the corporate world, holding mid-level and then senior executive positions. While the work provided a steady income, it also created a growing distance from his true passion, old cars, and time in the garage. The turning point came when Derek decided to leave his office job to do what he believed was necessary. Fix cars and document the process. With no crew, no media strategy, he propped his cracked iPhone on a shelf and filmed himself starting up a Camaro Z28 after it had been abandoned for years. There was no background music, no professional lighting, just the sound of the engine revving and a man laughing with glee as the car started. From that moment on, Vice Grip Garage was officially born. Although he started his YouTube channel in 2007, Derek didn't start posting real content until 2018. What makes him stand out isn't his professional skills or modern tools. It's his raw honesty. He doesn't hide his failures, his awkward moments, or even the time he had to use a hammer to persuade a starter to work again. Viewers see him as a familiar figure, the neighbor who knows how to fix cars. Unpretentious but extremely effective. Derek's way of talking became a trademark. Phrases like "A fella ought to try that," and "Let's see if she'll shoot" became catchphrases in the community. Viewers began sharing the clips, printing them on T-shirts, and even putting stickers on their cars. An informal community was formed. People who loved cars, loved to mess around, and believed that skills could be learned if they dared to start. The channel grew exponentially from 2018 to 2020. Derek traveled across states, finding cars that had been abandoned for decades, and using knowledge, patience, and a lot of experimentation to get them started. Highlights like his 600-mile journey of a 1968 Buick LeSabre that had been forgotten for 26 years have garnered over 10 million views, not because the car was special, but because Derek dealt with each problem without drama. It's not algorithmic content. It's a journey of a mechanic sharing his real learning process. And that's what keeps his audience engaged, not because of what he says, but because of how he does it. Until money and TV knocked on the door. 2022 marked a major turning point in Derek Bieri's journey when he signed a contract to co-produce the Roadworthy Rescues program with Motor Trend. From a YouTube channel that grew organically, Derek entered the professional playground, where everything from images, content to duration had a clear plan. And this was also the stage where the viewer community began to split into one side supported the expansion. The other side was skeptical that he was moving away from his own style. Roadworthy Rescues gave Derek the opportunity to reach a wider audience on streaming platforms like Amazon Prime, Fubo, and Google Play. But his busy shooting schedule forced him to put many of his Vice Grip Garage projects on hold. New videos began to dry up, with weeks of no uploads, leaving his YouTube audience feeling let down. Some have suggested that balancing television and original platforms has caused Derek to lose control of his content flow. the way the videos are edited has changed dramatically. From a simple, buggy but authentic style. The videos have shifted to a coherent narrative, clean cuts, even rhythm, and sometimes lacking in the usual surprises. No more scenes of Derek flipping through ebooks, drawing fishing diagrams in his notebook. Instead, there are side shots, gimbals, slow motion camera starts. For those who have followed him since the beginning, it's like watching two different wearing the same Vice Grip Garage shirt. At the same time, Derek expanded his business. The website ViceGripGarage.com began selling all kinds of personal branded merchandise: hats, shirts, decals, accessories. The product line sold extremely fast, always in a state of out of stock within hours of launching. This proved that the brand's appeal was growing every day. But it also raised questions about his over-commercialization of his image. Derek also began to appear regularly at major events. One of the most notable was at Sick Week, where he raced his 1972 Chevelle, dubbed Independence, with his wife Jessica. The car featured an American flag motif, representing the spirit of freedom and the low-budget, high-performance restoration style. Although the car did not set any speed records, the couple's presence on the track created a strong media effect. A number of motorcycle magazines and digital media outlets covered the car, and images of them standing next to the car appeared on the cover of special issues. Nevertheless, not all reactions have been positive. On some social media platforms, people have compared Derek's early image, a guy using zip ties and a rubber hammer to fix cars, to his current image, a brand ambassador, a tight shooting schedule, cars transported in specialized trucks, and a logistics team following him. Although Derek still does most of the repair work himself, his overall image is gradually shifting from everyday person to car celebrity. Another factor that has come under scrutiny is the level of sponsorship. Long-term partnerships with brands like Motion Raceworks, Summit Racing, and KSR Performance have made the content increasingly dependent on the products being promoted. Viewers have started to notice that certain tools and parts appear repeatedly in videos, often with discount codes. This isn't wrong commercially, but it conflicts with the original spirit of what Derek built the channel around: fixing cars with what's available, and for the least amount of money. In addition, Derek's participation in the auction of five classic cars at Mecum Indy 2025 has created a mixed reaction. Some long-time viewers believe that he has completely moved into the world of car business, where cars are no longer passion projects, but commercial assets. It must be recognized that with more than 2 million subscribers and a full schedule throughout the year, switching to the auction model is a reasonable way to maintain finances and invest back into content. Derek has never directly responded to any negative comments on his videos. But if you look closely, starting in late 2024, the format of his videos began to change again, more raw, less edited, and the small mistakes from the editing process were retained. It could be a sign that he realized what was missing and was looking to hold on to the part of himself that had once made millions of people click the subscribe button. The man behind the wheel. For all the buzz surrounding Derek Bieri, from YouTube to television to sponsorships to events, what remains less well known to the public is the life behind the old cars and lenses. It's not a glamorous journey, but a series of grueling workdays, tough decisions, and how a father and husband balances family and the pressures of the content industry. Derek moved from Minnesota to Lewisburg, Tennessee in 2020 for more stable video shooting space and a lower cost of living. His new home was a small farmhouse, far removed from the city, where he could build his own garage and avoid zoning restrictions. That garage is where most of Vice-Grip's content was produced during its peak growth. There was no professional camera crew on site every day, just Derek. a few fixed cameras, and Jessica to handle logistics. Family has always been at the center of the show. Derek and Jessica have 3 sons, and while he has never publicly revealed their names or pictures, viewers can sometimes see the kids running across the camera or helping their dad carry parts. That's part of the reason he keeps his content family friendly. Not just so his kids can watch, but to create a space that anyone from a teenager learning to fix a car to a dad teaching his son how to change oil can relate to. Derek's work ethic is beyond what many people imagine. He shared in a 2024 podcast that he works an average of 100 hours a week. His schedule of shooting, editing, traveling, and preparing projects repeats itself at a rapid pace. When he's not shooting, he's looking for new cars, calling to order parts, or writing scripts in pencil on garage wallpaper. He's also the primary person answering customer emails on the merch website and coordinating orders with Jessica. In 2023, Derek injured his leg after slipping while loading his Ford pickup onto a trailer. He didn't post any videos of the incident, but eagle-eyed viewers could see him standing on the wrong foot for a few frames. That set me back like 3 days. He said succinctly in an interview with Stacey David's podcast. Then I just took the plank off my leg and continued filming the rest. Derek doesn't share his political views, doesn't speak out on social issues, and rarely participates in public. He keeps his personal account completely separate from the brand, and only uses the official Vice Grip Garage Instagram to post updates on videos, products, or events. Social media isn't a place for him to express his personal opinions. It's just a channel for announcements behind the scenes. Nevertheless, he and Jessica had activities that were not talked about at the Mecum auction. Derek had quietly donated all the proceeds from the sale of the Oldsmobile 442 to a local autism charity. There was no press release, no cameras recording the handover. Just a note in the margin of the event ledger and confirmation from the organization that received the donation. When asked about it later, he simply said, "If I'm making money doing what I love, I want to give some of it back to the community. In a world of increasingly commercialized content, Derek Bieri has carved out a niche for himself, one where he still turns every screw, plans his own shoots, and keeps his brand grounded in reality. That's what has allowed him to maintain a loyal following, even as everything around him changes at an uncontrollable pace. Why are there still millions of people waiting to watch every week? But all the controversy, the changes in content, the shift to television and business. Derek Bieri has kept one thing, the loyalties of millions of viewers. Every week, Vice Grip Garage's new videos still get hundreds of thousands to millions of views within days. No big promotion, no clickbait, no drama. It's not an accident. Viewers come to Derek not just to see cars being restarted. They come to see how a person approaches technical challenges with patience, humor, and a fighting spirit. Derek's videos are not created to create high emotions, but to convey a philosophy of life. Anything is possible. As long as you dare to start, dare to learn, dare to correct mistakes. In a digital content landscape that is increasingly entertainment and show-stopping, it's rare for a channel to thrive on old cars, cranked-up engines, and carburetor tune-ups in the heat of the day. It shows that there's still a large audience that craves real, unvarnished, emotionally manipulative content that's just valuable and relatable. Derek doesn't do personal content, doesn't vlog about his daily life, doesn't talk about his past too much. It's all about action. He doesn't need to talk about who he is, because the audience sees it in the way he handles each issue. In a world of digital content where everyone is shouting to be heard, Derek's calmness makes viewers listen more. When Vice Grip Garage started adding longer-form series like Let's Fail Together, where he attempts to restore extremely beat up cars with no clear plan and a low success rate. The engagement skyrocketed. Viewers loved the feeling of going on a journey with someone who wasn't sure if he'd succeed, but didn't give up. It wasn't an act. It was the way he worked from the beginning. Recent projects like his journey to restore a 1965 Pontiac Bonneville or fixing a car in the snow in rural Kentucky are not just technical videos, but also vivid records of self-reliance. Without describing his philosophy or talking much about his personal goals, Derek shows it all through his actions, and viewers understand it in their own way. Derek Bieri's story doesn't end with a grand opening or a million-view video. It continues every day, in every bolt tightened, every old car put back on the road, and in the way he maintains his integrity in a world that's changing too fast. If you've ever found yourself struggling with an engine, swearing at a stubborn bolt, or just love the feeling of watching someone do what they love, you know why millions of people still look forward to a new Vice Grip video every week. If you're one of them, leave a comment, share your thoughts, like, and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support someone who's still keeping the fire burning in the garage.